Hi everyone, it's Prado again. I decided to do a recording of a lesson that's in both Formative and Google Slides because we are still trying to figure out what's going to be our permanent go-to. I think we have to use both a little bit, get comfortable with it, see what the students are comfortable with. And so I wanted to go ahead and post this video so that you guys could see it too. And then maybe in our next PLC you can give me some feedback about what's working for you as well. So I just want to show you real quick. Kamiko's been really good about making these lessons for us, and I took her last lesson on graphs and I kind of combined it with my own to put safety in it together so that I could have safety and graphing together. And so following her template, this is what the students would have in their assignment. They would have the slides, they'd have the agenda, the learning outcomes. They would have a hyperlink here to their check-in form for attendance, because that should always be the first thing that we have them do, just to make sure we have that. And then the engage video for them to explore and watch, that's hyperlinked as well. I don't have this one hyperlinked because I decided I was going to do this lesson informative. I've used Miss Gibson's slides for the other lessons, but I've noticed that some of the kids have skipped slides, and sometimes they'll skip because they skip slides. They skip the steps needed to do one of the slide questions correctly. And so I was trying to find a way to mitigate that, but also to have them keep better track of what they're doing as well. So what I could do here is for the safety contract, that was the safety contract that I wanted them to read. A little bit shorter than the Flynn one, although it's taken directly from the Flynn. And then here is where you can, of course, you take a picture of a slide, make it your background, and then you open up text boxes for them to be able to annotate over it. And so again, once they're done with safety, now let's look at what are graphs and what type of graphs are there and what should I use. And then reading notes, again, reinforcing what is in the video. Not that one or the other should be done independently, they should be done together. The video watching and then the notes, because that's what reinforces for the students this concept, the repetition of it, and them looking at it in different formats. And then here is where they would write down what type of graph is used for each one. And then the lesson continues in that way. Ms. Gibson's awesome in making Quizlets for the kiddos to review. And so I'm using her link for that as well on there. And then at the end, because I was using this informative, this was my exit slide. And the good thing about the slides is when they're in Google Classroom and they pull this up, they do each have their own copy of it. And they can go back and forth and they can see the slide that they're working on, and then they can see where they are in relation to the whole lesson. Now, I went ahead and I imported this slides presentation because, again, I like the format, and I've done a couple of these with my students, so they're used to a slides format. So even though I'm transitioning my chemistry students into a formative, I still wanted them to be comfortable with what they were seeing. So I imported that lesson. And so what I could do here, for example, was I could I put my own audio in here. This is the teacher view. That's why it says replace, because I could record over it if I didn't like it. But if I'm going to preview this as a student, and this is not completely what the students see. I'll show you some pictures here in a little bit, which is why I like Formative a little better, I think. But here you can see I have instructions that they can play. It's my voice. And then I'm reading the agenda for them there. And then here, whereas in the slides, I could hyperlink and it would open up a new window, a new tab for them to do the attendance form. I have the attendance form already embedded, so they don't have to switch back and forth. It's right there, and they can do it while they're looking at the slide itself. So I kind of like that feature. I can't embed, if I embed a video within the slide, if I'm importing the slide in this manner, But what I can do is I can embed the Edpuzzle link itself. And so I did that. I put the picture of what the video should look like, and then I put the video here. And what I like about this is that when I check for their work, let me go to Edpuzzle, and I can show you the 8th period chemistry. If I go to Gradebook, it'll show me the grade that they have for any of the videos. And so what my plan is, let me go ahead and minimize this, and then I can pull this tab out to the side right here, and I can make it fit as a split screen. And as I'm grading this, I'm telling the students that this is worth 10 points. When I go to view responses, which I can't do as a student because the student can't see the class responses, but as a teacher I can see their responses. And so let's say that I'm clicking on the student, I see the student's name here, I see the student's name, here and what their grade was, and so I can look at that, and they haven't responded, but if they respond, then there's a bar here where I can click on how many points that they've earned. So if they made a 90, I can click on 9 points on that point bar. If they made a 100, then I can click the full 10 points. So even though the Edpuzzle is a separate assignment, because we can only have 2 grades in the gradebook, this is what's going to help me keep track of their work, but also have it part of the overall lesson that we're doing for the week. So I like that because I think it's easier to put the grade together versus having to go to Google Classroom and then having to go to their actual lesson, and then when I see the lesson as a slides, having to put the points for their grade in that way. So I just think that that's going to be a little easier for me to keep track of multiple formats of formative activity. And so the next thing is the safety contract. And so again, this is the same safety contract that I cut and paste into the slides, but I want them to interact with me in this way. And so I can actually ask them to give me an audio response. So for example, this is summarize 1 through 6 in your own words and audio. So they don't have to write anything down, but I'm still getting a response from them. And I know that there is probably a way that you can do that in slides. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I know how to do it here in Formative, so I'm doing that. And then 5 right here, because this is where they're supposed to sign, I put a show your work type of question, which then means that they are going to have to put their information there, and that's going to be their signing the safety contract. Same thing with this video. I'm just embedding the actual video. Same thing with the notes. And let me come down to this right here. So on this one, on the slides, they would have to click where it says type here, and then they could change that. On these, if I'm looking at the student, it says zoom in on all of these. So if I'm going down to the types of graphs, if I click zoom in, it shows this bigger, and they can actually, when they're looking at the question here, they can zoom in and they can say, okay, what type of data is this? What type of graphs do I have? Which one does it match? And then they can come back and they can answer that question. And again, it's half a dozen of one, 6 of the other, right? But again, in this way, it allows me to keep this on a point system with the videos that they watched as well. And I could, again, do my double screen, my split screen to take care of that. And then the rest of this, again, it's the same, more of the same. Now, because I can't hyperlink, now may not be able to use the hyperlink once I import this, but I can make a little note, and if I wanted to, I could embed this in here, just like I embedded the attendance form, where they could see the form and they could scroll down through it while they saw the slide here. I just wanted them to be able to see this in a bigger window, and so that's why I had it where they would need to, or they could, as a text box, they could copy and they could paste it, paste and go. and then it'll take them to the Quizlet. But things like that could be embedded right next to the slide. And then there's the reminder, submit the formative to check which answers you got correct. And now I want to show you the student view, like an actual student view, because this is a preview. But what the student sees and what I really like about the student view is if I go to that, let me start with these pictures right here. I'll just show you what they look like. So this is what a student would see when they click on that formative. They would see the number of questions that are there and blank if they didn't answer them. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next picture. I guess I should open them all up if I was going to do that. Okay, so the next one, I just want to show you, again, this is not the chemistry one, this is a different one I took pictures of, but you can see where they're looking at their assignments and what does it look like when they've actually answered some questions. So I want to show you on this one, the student answered one question and so it showed up blue. That means that's a question that the teacher is going to be able to see for them to answer. They've answered 3 of their questions. And so that lets them know what the teacher can see to grade. At the end, they can click submit. This is going to show up at the bottom. It will tell them, I know you can't see it, I'm sorry about the quality of this, but it'll tell them that they haven't answered all of the questions, and then here it tells them how many, but they can still click submit, and you can set it to where they can do multiple submissions. And I do that because I want them to be able to look at the look at which questions they got right or wrong, and I have it set where they can see that once they submitted it. So after they submit it, then they can go back and they can see, oh, this was graded and I got all my points. This was graded but I only got half the points, and this didn't earn any points. These blue ones have not been graded, but they have been submitted. The teacher will be able to see that. Even though the student left it blank, the teacher will still be able to see that those are blank responses. And then these were multiple choice. These were things that the computer graded. And again, there wasn't a response for them, so they were incorrect. So the thing that I like about Formative is that you can see this. The students can see this, and they can monitor their own progress. They don't have to wait until I go back to the slides presentation to grade that assignment. They can self-monitor if they're using Formative. And so I think for that reason, even that I might do this combination where it slides. What I'm doing for my other classes that I've not started using slides with. I'll use one for anatomy that we're going to do this week. So I have our little Bitmoji classroom there that has our agenda. Let's preview that as student. And so that's, now the difference here is this is an advanced class. When I embed, I'm not importing the slides presentation. I'm actually embedding the slides presentation. They can go through that. But this being an advanced course, this is a lot of information. They get and they process a lot of information up front. I still have videos. GIFs are kind of cool to add on there as well. And so there's that. We kind of have some things that we talk about in between in our meet. And then I can still embed the ed puzzle. There's a game. They have to copy and paste because for some reason it didn't seem to embed very well on that one. And then for the advanced kiddos, because I do the whole week's lesson in one formative, this is their brain break time. And then the next time we meet, here's the next part of our notes. And then here is more information for them to go over what we talked about together. So I'm just putting that out there. I'd like to talk in PLC what's working for you all in slides, what you think about this for using Formative so that we can grow together. Thanks, guys.